But I have to say in this one, before you wash your jewelry, before you do anything with water or chemicals or anything, please, please, please. Hey guys, today we're gonna be discussing all of the things that you need to know before buying quality pieces, metals edition. If you don't know me, my name is Rebecca Clark. I'm the creator and owner of Ruru's Rings, and I'm a multidisciplinary artist specializing in jewelry. I have been making jewelry for quite some time. I started with wire wrapping and worked my way up, and I'm now in silversmithing, and I plan to further my career in doing wax carvings. I have a launch coming up soon that will be staple jewelry, timeless pieces that everyone needs in their collection, especially if you're starting out building your jewelry wardrobe. What better video than to have as a cheat sheet for people who don't necessarily know where to start when they're buying their jewelry, or they don't understand what all the stamps mean on the inside of the band, what's gold plated, what's gold filled, what do I need to buy to make sure my pieces will last a long time. First things first, the cheapest version of jewelry that I will be talking about is silver jewelry. Silver is considered a precious metal, of course. It's not cheap. It's just the cheapest version of the metals that we will be discussing today. So when it comes to jewelry, there's a lot of base metal pieces. Those would be brass, copper, stuff that is silver plated. That is all considered base jewelry. That is not good quality. It will wear down over time. Two of the most common base jewelry items would be gold filled or gold plated. Don't buy them. Save up and buy solid gold. There's no point in getting gold plated or gold filled. And I'll show you exactly why. Every time I need a rag, I can never find it. I swear it's always laying on my desk until I need it. Oh, I use my work rag. All right, we're gonna be using the rag I accidentally stole from work. I'm a server and we carry rags in our belt loop to, dry off tables and, stuff like that. And I actually took it home with me. So we'll be using this. So, filled, plated. We'll talk about plated first because it's the cheapest of the three considering solid gold. Plated, this is all base metal. So the component of it is base metal and then a very thin layer of gold on top. This will wear down very quickly. Do not buy an expensive piece that is gold plated. It will not last you. Some jewelers won't even work on it. I know that at the jewelry store that I used to work at, they wouldn't even take in gold plated or gold filled jewelry because it literally is just a base metal and then it's just a plating of the gold. Second is gold filled. Here's the thing. Gold filled is the better of the two, of course, but it's still going to wear down over time. I had personally worked with gold filled for a while with my wire wrap designs. I never got to the point where I was able to order solid gold wire, otherwise I totally would have done that. But with gold filled, it was a cheaper version for me to order where I could still get the gold color that I wanted and essentially the durability, my pieces not be completely fake. I have the issue where my skin will turn green if I wear fake jewelry, right? Filled jewelry ends up wearing down as well. Some people will tell you it'll last for 10 years. It truly depends on how hard you are on your pieces. I personally had a 14 karat gold filled ring for a very long time. I had it for about 3 years. After that 3-year mark, it started to deteriorate. The wire itself, the gold plating on the inside of the band started to wear off, and around my finger it would start to turn green. So I had ended up trying to re-wrap it again with a newer piece of 14 karat gold filled wire, and it just, again, the same thing happened where slowly over time it did end up deteriorating. This is, of course, how hard I was on my jewelry. I literally would not take this ring off at all every single day, and I wore it during serving, so very hard on my hands. With being so hard on my hands and working with my hands every day and just being hard on jewelry in general, it wasn't gonna last for me. It might last for you, but if you're thinking about pieces that you're gonna wanna keep for a very long time that do withstand the test of time, don't get plated or filled. It's just not worth it. It's better to save up your money a little bit more and get a solid gold piece. Now that we're talked about the versions of metal you don't wanna buy, we're gonna talk about the ones you do wanna buy. So we'll be going over silver, gold, and platinum. First, we'll start with silver. With silver, there are a lot of different types of silver actually. I didn't know this until I was researching this for this video, but I know of 3 major ones, and these are the 3 most common that people do know about. The other ones are kind of just like, I've never heard of them, and I don't think other people have really heard of them, but I could totally be wrong. So we're going to be talking about the 3 most common types of silver. So that would be sterling silver, argentium, and fine silver. All metals should have a stamp on the inside of the band or just somewhere on the piece to represent the type of metal that it is. So with sterling silver, that stamp would be 925. That represents 92.5% of pure silver in your piece. The other 7.5% would be other alloys, such as copper, which actually, if you were a maker of jewelry, copper is what causes fire scale. So that 7.5% of copper in sterling silver ends up showing up when you are using flame to your piece and heating it up. It brings that copper up to the surface. That is also what causes tarnishing over time. Now, the tarnishing that I'm talking about is not the grody base metal tarnishing that your piece just looks disgusting and it looks fake. The tarnishing on sterling silver ends up usually being a black or a yellow color, which can be polished away and washed away as long as you take care of your piece. We'll get more into that in a moment. Sterling silver is the most common of the silvers. Most places will be selling sterling silver. Any of your pieces will dull over time. That's what polishing rags are for, and jewelers, if you want your piece to be buffed out. Next, we're gonna talk about argentium silver. So argentium is more maker-centric. That would be either the stamp of 930 or 960. That represents the 2 types of argentium, which is 93% solid silver and 96% solid silver. It does have more technical features, such as usually doesn't tarnish because of the makeup of argentium silver. It's more for technical uses, not really visual. It's a great option to go for, but it is slightly more expensive. And again, it's not as commonly used as sterling silver. Fine silver is the most pure silver. It is 99.9% solid silver. And I know what you're thinking. You're probably like, oh, that's definitely the best one to get because it's almost pure silver. With pure precious metals, they are very soft. So of course it's still a metal, but it is a lot easier to break, bend, warp out of shape. You probably don't want a piece that is fully fine silver. Some chains will be fine silver, some bezels on rings can be fine silver, but you don't want your whole piece to be fine silver just because of the durability aspect. That 7.5% in sterling silver is actually not just to make it cheaper, it is there for durability reasons and longevity. The way to think about sterling silver is the most common and it is the most durable of the 3. Argentium is like right in the middle. It's a little bit more expensive than sterling silver, not as durable, but it still is pretty durable, and pretty much sterling silver with a little bit more extra silver in it. And fine silver is the closest thing you can get to solid silver. It is a lot softer of a metal. As I was saying earlier, as with any jewelry piece you own, the level of care you put into that piece will show. So if you put your piece in a drawer and you don't touch it for years, it'll end up tarnishing, it'll start being dusty, stuff like that. But if you're wearing your piece every day, you polish it, take it off before you get in the shower, anything like that. Now with a lot of jewelry, you can wear it in the shower. I don't recommend it, but you can do it. Like, so for example, my anklets, I have a 14 karat gold anklet and a sterling silver anklet, and I rarely take them off. The only time I take them off is when I shave my legs, and then half the time I wear it into the shower and then have to take it off in the shower. I don't wear them in the ocean. That's something we should talk about. I'll talk about that later though. So if you're taking the proper precautions with your stones, your metal, making sure you lay out your chains when you put them away so they don't get tangled and end up breaking, stuff like that. If you just take the proper precautions and the levels of care you put into your jewelry will show. Yes, silver is a type of metal that will tarnish over time, but there are, again, precautions you can take to make sure that doesn't happen. One of the ways to actually prevent that from happening is just wearing your jewelry. The constant wear of the jewelry, and if you wash your hands or anything like that, it pretty much keeps your piece clean. But if you take your jewelry off, you put it in a drawer somewhere and you don't really let it out to breathe. Don't ever wear it. It will start to tarnish. With that being said, I have a sterling silver launch coming up, and since I have transitioned from wire wraps to metalsmithing, I've decided that with every order from here on out, I will always include a polishing cloth, because when I first didn't know polishing cloths existed, my jewelry looked actually disgusting and I hated it. I just never really wore jewelry because of that. And then I found out polishing cloths were a thing, and I polished up all my jewelry and it looked brand new. And so that's something I definitely recommend having, is a polishing cloth. One of the ways you can clean silver jewelry is just with some warm water and dish soap, Dawn dish soap usually. Before doing anything with your silver jewelry, if you have gemstones in your jewelry, research the gemstone. This will be a separate video because there's so many topics about gemstones. Opals specifically might have to have their own video because of how many things that I could talk about opals. But just there's so many different things about gems that I can go over. I'm gonna make that a separate video, but I have to say in this one, before you wash your jewelry, before you do anything with water or chemicals or anything, please, 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 please research your stone. There has been so many times that I have known people that don't use opals at all because the one opal that they had was an Ethiopian opal, and they wore it in the shower and it soaked up all this water and they lost the color from it. It's specifically Ethiopian opals are water absorbent. If you put it in water, it'll soak up all the water and it'll lose its color and its flash, its luster, all of that. So research your stone first, please. I beg you, please. If you research your stone and it's fine, put it in warm water with dish soap. Use like an old eyebrow or eyelash spoolie. That's usually what I use, and I bend it so it's like a little curve so I can get in the nooks and crannies. That allows me to clean underneath the stone so that the stone has a brighter shine. Then you have a clean surface to work on. I usually dry that off, or I let it sit out on a towel to dry, and then I'll go in with my polishing cloth, and I'm telling you, it looks so good after a polish with the polishing cloth. It looks brand new, truly. Now we can move into our next metal, which is gold. So there is a lot to unpack in this specific portion. Gold has a lot of different traits and qualities that we need to discuss. So first we'll talk about carat. So carat refers to the amount of pure gold is in your piece, a fractionated amount of 24ths. So 9 karat gold is 9 24ths pure gold. 24 out of 24 is obviously pure gold. And again, you might think that's the best option to get, but in reality, it's not. It's very, very soft of a metal. Precious metals in their most pure state are very soft. So when you're thinking about pieces that you're gonna wanna wear for a very long time, especially everyday wear, maybe don't get the 24 karat. If it comes down to you're buying jewelry for the investment purpose, get 24 karat because it is more expensive. When it comes to my personal preference, I go with 14 karat. It's a really good mix of both pure gold and the alloys inside. I find that the durability and longevity of 14 karat is my personal favorite. Usually the hue of 14 karat is like the perfect color hue for my skin tone. Speaking of hues, now we'll talk about the colors of gold. Starting off with white gold, there is palladium and traditional. Palladium is white gold mixed with palladium, of course, which is another white metal. This type of gold will never need to be rhodium plated. Palladium is usually sought after specifically because of that. Traditional white gold would be gold with alloys such as nickel inside. That's actually what causes your piece to need a rhodium plate now and then. When it comes to white gold, because there are other alloys inside of white gold, it tries to almost revert back to its natural color. That is the reason why you need to get your piece rhodiumed every now and then. Typically with white gold, with everyday wear, you usually have to rhodium it probably 1 to 1.5 years from when you first get it. White gold is the hardest of the golds. Next we have yellow gold. So yellow gold, when it comes to coloration, it really depends on the manufacturer you're buying from and the components of the gold. So I wrote out this little chart. So it's definitely more of a spectrum. So there's tan, there's green, there's red. In between red and tan, there's a pinkish hue. In between red and green, there's a coppery hue. And in between green and tan, there's a neon yellow hue. It really is more of a spectrum on where your color lands. I personally like a more pinkish hue. I feel like it goes with my skin tone a lot better. I'm not talking about rose gold yet. We will get to that. I'm just specifically talking about the hues of yellow gold. Here is 2 chains Both are 14 karat gold. One is a more yellowy color versus a more pinkish tone color. You really can't tell unless they're sitting next to each other, and even when they're sitting next to each other, it's hard to tell. But I can tell. I'm very particular, and I can tell when it's on my skin. I can tell which one brings out my skin color and brings out the natural components of my skin versus when I put the neon yellow one on and it just looks weird. I'm not a big fan of the neon yellow gold. I really do not like how it looks. Personally, in my opinion, it looks fake. I hate how like the neon bright yellow looks. But again, it's always preference. So next we're gonna talk about rose gold. I think rose gold personally looks the best on me. I remember in middle school, I got this fake Cartier bracelet from like AliExpress, and my mom got a yellow gold one and a rose gold one, and I adored how the rose gold one looked on me. But I don't have any real rose gold. Rose gold is mainly a blend of gold, copper, and silver. So it's a mix of all three, which gives it that rose color. It is the softest of the golds. With gold, usually on the inside, it'll have a stamp of the carat. And of course, you'll be able to see the color of the gold, so it doesn't have to say 14 karat yellow gold or 14 karat white gold. It'll just say 14 karat. With that being said, sometimes stamps will include 585, 567. There are so many different types of stamps for gold specifically. I recommend getting a jeweler's loop. It's kind of a little small magnification, or you can go into a jeweler and they can either scratch test it for you, or they can look for the stamp. Recommend trying to see what it is on your own at home and looking it up, just because that saves you a trip to the jeweler. But if it's a case where there is no stamp on it and you truly believe that it is real, take it in, because sometimes jewelry that is so old won't have a stamp on it to indicate what it's made of. So you could have a white gold piece when you think it's silver. Next, we'll be talking about platinum. So platinum is a very, very dense metal. It is the most expensive of the metals, as it is an almost pure form of platinum. On the inside of your ring or on the back side of your back plate, it will have PLAT representing platinum. It is not as hard as white gold, but it is harder than yellow gold, if I got that right. Editing me will know if I got that right. Those are all of the metals specifically, and now we're going to talk about how it's all made. So there are different ways of jewelry making. There is fast fashion, handmade, high-end fashion, stuff like that. So starting off, we'll talk about fast fashion. Fast fashion are the pieces that you don't really want to get, just because it is usually a very low quality piece. It's usually made with base metals, or it's plated or filled. Think of it as the type of jewelry from Claire's. Handmade is my personal favorite, of course. With handmade, you know that your piece was made with intention. Every single action to make that piece was done with intention. There's a lot of love behind handmade. It truly is a labor of love. Handmade is definitely the way to go, for sure, because then you're not only helping yourself out by buying very quality pieces, you're helping someone else out with their dreams of making handmade goods. So the next one I want to talk about, which is kind of considered under handmade, kind of not, is CAD jewelry. So CAD jewelry is computer aided drafting jewelry. So that's when you design a mock-up online, you get it 3D printed out, you get it casted, stuff like that. So you can make a piece, like you can pretty much design online a piece of jewelry or a ring or whatever. I personally used CAD Rhino when I went to college for a year, and the type of style that I could get was very cookie cutter. I have heard that ZBrush is a form of CAD that is almost like you're molding from clay, but online, and that would give you a more of an organic style. I personally really love the organic look, specifically with wax carvings. You can get a really organic shape, almost like your stone fell into molten lava. Really flowy design, stuff like that. Next type of jewelry making would be high-end jewelry. So that would include Cartier or Tiffany & Co. Those two are my personal favorite high-end jewelers. I absolutely adore both, and I would love to one day be able to get a piece from both of them, or get to the point where I could collab with them. That would be insane. That's a dream. The ultimate goal is to get to that level where Cartier has been known for years, and I would love to get to the point where Cartier or Tiffany & Co. is at. Next, we'll talk about solid and hollow made jewelry. Solid and hollow refers to the way that your piece is made. Solid is obviously a solid piece of metal. Hollow is when it's more of like a tube for earrings or a bangle bracelet, or your chain is made hollow. There are reasons why you would want to buy both. When it comes to chains, go with solid. When I had worked at this jewelry store, people would come in with the same chain multiple times and have to get it repaired over and over and over again. And it truly seemed like a waste of money because they would spend so much money getting these spots soldered, replaced, you know, whatever, fixed, and have to come back in 2 weeks later because they snagged it on something and it broke again. Hollow chains are, in my opinion, a waste of money. If you're gonna buy a chain, save up your money for the solid one. Now, hollow earrings or bracelets, that's another story. I personally, I think it's this year. Is it this year? No, yeah, it definitely is this year. I personally have a little rip in this ear. I got my ears pierced when I was very young. I don't remember it. My sister took me to get them pierced, which my parents were not very happy about. Can't wear heavy earrings. A great example are these hoops that I have coming out in my next launch. These are dainty everyday hoops. They're not super heavy, but you can feel that you're wearing them. And these are solid. That's probably as thick as I would go personally with solid jewelry. I know people can wear heavier earrings. It really depends on them as a person and if their ears are strong enough to hold it. But then again, you don't want to stretch out your earring hole. So when it comes to hollow earrings, big statement chunky earrings, you probably want to get hollow because of the weight aspect. You don't want to stretch your ears out unless that is the look you're going for. That also keeps costs down when you are buying pieces. Another example would be a really chunky, dramatic statement bangle or bracelet. Usually those are made as hollow pieces. Of course, you want to make sure that it is a good density of hollowness, if that makes sense. You don't want it to be so hollow that if you accidentally banged it on the counter, it would leave a huge dent in your piece. You know, you want it to be durable enough to where it would last a very long time, but hollow enough to where it doesn't feel like you're wearing a weight all day long. Of course, with hollow pieces, it usually keeps cost down. So if it is a piece that you can get hollow and you are very comfortable getting hollow, you're very delicate on your jewelry, you're not gonna damage it, you really trust yourself when you're getting it, go with hollow. It's up to you. Personally, I'm very, very hard on jewelry and I love wearing jewelry every single day. I hate taking it off, so I'm gonna wanna get solid pieces specifically for that reason. All in all, I would recommend if you're starting your jewelry wardrobe out or if you're adding to it, try to go with simple staples that you know are timeless, that won't go out of style. When you get a trendy piece, you're gonna feel weird wearing it after a couple months or even after a couple years. Trendy jewelry is usually not the way to go. Go with simple staples that I know will never go out of style. They'll always be in style. I personally will be launching a silver staples collection specifically for people who are trying to start their jewelry wardrobe out, or they're just looking for simple staples that they haven't had in their collection yet. This launch will be happening in the next couple of weeks. I'm hoping it'll happen the next video you watch. A great starting point when it comes to starting your jewelry wardrobe is probably sterling silver. Sterling silver pieces are very durable. They are the cheapest option when it comes to getting quality pieces. Silver's just cool. And I stress, if you are a gold girly, try to get something silver. I promise you, I'm not deterring you away. You're not gonna hate me forever. And if you do, that's fine. I'm just saying, when you have a lot of gold on, it's very pretty, yes, but sometimes it can blend all together. If you have a bunch of bracelets stacked up and they're all gold and you add one silver in between in the middle, it just adds such a depth and it makes all of the pieces stand out. So I definitely recommend trying to mix your metal because it does bring out all of them all together. It doesn't just muddle them all, blends them all together. Try mixing your metal. I know, I used to be someone that hated the look of mixed metal. I hated mixing my gold with my silver. The closest I would do is wear gold on one hand, silver on the other. Now I mix it all the time because I really think it just brings a pop. It really brings out both of the pieces you wear. It's just, try it, please. If you don't like it, that's okay. You don't have to. I'm just saying to try it. It just really brings life and depth to your pieces. I will be leaving this video off here. I believe we covered everything when it comes to buying quality pieces, metals edition. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you learned some information. If you have any questions, please leave them down below in the comments. Please stay tuned and check out my simple staples launch coming out very soon. There is a piece in this launch for everyone, whether you're starting your jewelry wardrobe or you're needing to add to it. Definitely check it out. I hope you guys have a great day. God bless you. Love you. Mwah!